Hey good people, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Today I'm going to be giving you all my review on Love Marriage Huntsville Season 6 Episode 21. Guys, this episode was so good to me. You guys definitely drop some comments down below. Let me know what you thought about tonight's episode. Remember, also please guys, remember to subscribe and like. Without further ado, let's go. So listen y'all. Melody and Kiki are still out to lunch, and Kiki just dropped this bombshell on Mel that she heard that Marsau cheated on Tisha after going to the club. And get this, the person that she's saying that Marsau cheated with is allegedly Tisha's makeup artist. That's what everybody is saying online. I believe the makeup artist even came out trying to deny the situation, but that's word on the street. Now, when Kiki tells Mel this information, Mel's jaw dropped. She was shocked. And so you could tell like she never heard this information before. And I'm a little skeptical because I feel as if Tisha and Kiki are not in a good place, right? They haven't been in a good place apparently for quite some time. Kiki's introduction to the show has been through her relationship with Tisha and through the fact that this relationship is not what it once was. So there's nothing else really that Kiki had going on to be a part of the show other than that. Kiki allegedly was in that video in Home Depot. Kiki has had some problems with substance abuse in the past. So, if you will, those are her two storylines, right? She can't talk about the Home Depot incident. Number one, she can't incriminate herself if that was her on the video. And number two, legally, what she's already shared with us is that her lawyers don't want her talking about the incident. And then we see when she kind of talks to her husband about what's been going on with her, and she doesn't even really bring up the substance abuse stuff, but talking to her husband about her health and whatnot, the substance abuse is brought up, and you could tell that's not a conversation that she wants to have either. So to me, those would be her two main storylines, neither of which she wants to talk about, nor can she talk about. So what else can she bring to the show? An ongoing feud with her cousin Tisha. She's not beefing with Stormi. She's kind of still got her little thing going with Tiffany, but let's be real, Tiffany is not on the show long enough for them to even get into it like that. Neither is Kiki when I think about it. So all she has left is this whole beef that she has with Tisha. And I'm not saying that, Kiki made this story up. I don't know. What I'm saying is I don't trust it. If none of the other castmates have heard this rumor, which just judging by Mel's surprise, I don't think they have, then I don't know if I could trust it. I don't know if people are just playing with Kiki, trying to stir up some drama with her and Tisha, or what. Mel asked Kiki, does she believe that the rumor is true? And Kiki said, I really don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. Kiki tells Mel that she invited Tisha over because she wanted to have this discussion with her, face to face, let her know what she's heard so that she knows what's going on. And Tisha never reached back out to Kiki. So Kiki's like, I'm not going to be sitting up here running after you with this information. If we can't talk about it, that's just that. I'm not doing it. So Kiki goes on to tell Mel, get this, that this alleged person's ex-boyfriend contacted Tisha trying to tell her what's going on, and Tisha didn't want to hear nothing from him either. She called Kiki like, girl, why are you trying to get information from other people about me? Like it was a whole big thing. And I'm just like, ooh, this definitely does not help their relationship whatsoever. Mel just simply says to Kiki, girl, Tisha don't want to know. She don't want to know. And this is the same thing, honestly, that we've been hearing Mel say for the last 6 years. I don't think Tisha wants to know either because she really would be broken. However, I'm at the point where I'm just tired of these rumors regarding Marsau because I feel like till somebody comes out and says, yeah, I cheated with him and you have proof and all of that, I don't want to hear it. We have been hearing this about him for the last 6 years and not one person has come out and said anything. Now, just because somebody hasn't come out and said anything doesn't mean he hasn't done anything. But I'm just saying, like, we keep going on and on and on every season about somebody cheating with Marsau, and there's no evidence, there's no proof. At this point in time, I just want to leave that alone. Now, in my opinion, do I believe that Marsau has stepped out on Tisha? Yeah, I could definitely see that. I really can. He doesn't strike me as the faithful type, if you ask me, especially with his antiquated thinking. No, I don't think that he's been 100% faithful. But again, until I see some proof, I don't want to talk about it no more. I really just don't. Let's move on. Kiki also shares with Mel that Tisha is using the same return policy for her daughter's hair care line as Stormi's hair care line. And I mean, it was so much the same that Tisha still left the contact information saying Canva Beauty on it. I thought that was crazy. Mel says in her confessional that she's not surprised because Tisha has been taking things from other people close to her in this group especially, making it very similar to whatever it is that she's creating. And then, of course, production put some things on the screen that look very similar. And I'm like, that's very interesting. And I'm going to share a little bit more as we get further in this review about my thoughts on that. But that's kind of crazy that you would take somebody else's. It's okay to, look at what somebody else is doing and try to implement the same thing, but you didn't have enough sense to go ahead and change that person's information to your company's information. That's just not being thorough. I feel like this season we are really seeing that Marsau and Tisha are not great business people either. Everybody wants to come for Mel and Martell, but it don't look like the Scotts are any better. Might be Scotts 2.0 that's doing what they need to do, but the regular Scotts, I don't know. It's like a car detailing place. In the next scene, we see that Maurice brought Kimmi the Jeep Rubicon, and that's a really nice Jeep. So kudos to Maurice for looking out for his wife and buying her the car. He says that this is the car that Kimmi's always wanted. He's tried to persuade her, of course, to get something else, but no, she wanted the Rubicon. He says in his confessional, considering how their last year has went, he realizes that he doesn't have a lot of time or as much time as he thought he has. So he kind of wants to do these things for her now because he almost lost his wife, which I thought was really admirable that he said that. Marsau stops by and Maurice shares with him the reason why he brought Kimmi the car. He said that Kimmi told her that she wants to ride with the top down so that her hair can blow in the wind. And this is where Maurice completely lost me yet again. And I was sitting at my TV screen in shock. Like, I had to rewind this part a couple of times. This man sat up there and said, when Kimmi told him about having her hair blowing in the winds, he was like, well, babe, you kind of don't have any hair right now. What, Maurice? What? As he's saying this, Marsau is like, don't say it. And he still continued to say it. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? It would be different if Kimmi just didn't have hair, like she didn't have a lot of hair naturally, but she doesn't have hair because she went through chemotherapy because she was diagnosed with cancer. Why would you say that? Why would you think that? I'm not clear if he said it to Kimmi or if that's what he was thinking. Either way, why would you bring your behind in front of these cameras and repeat that? I am crushed for Kimmi. How many times do we have to hear him say these insensitive comments before enough is just enough? I couldn't believe it. And he had no shame in saying that whatsoever. Even with his brother, who's not much better, telling him, don't say it. Then this fool goes on to tell Marsau that he and Kimmi are not having sex like they once did. Like 98% of the stuff that Marsau says, I don't agree with. This is the 2% time where I'm like, he's absolutely correct. He tells Maurice, dude, she just went through cancer. She knows her body. After Marsau said that to Maurice, all of a sudden Maurice saw the light. Like, dude, it's not rocket science. But we've already talked about Maurice in this whole thing. He's a jerk. He's an idiot. There's nothing more to share there. Maurice and Kimmi are going to be throwing a barbecue, and that's where he's going to present Kimmi with her new car. Maurice asks Marsau, like, how are you going to be at the barbecue if Stormi and her husband are there? He feels as if Marsau was being snarky with Stormi and Courtney at the meeting that Kimmi put together. Marsau says that we were both trying to get under each other's skin, and when it didn't work, he had to try something else. He goes on to say that he does not care to have a relationship with Stormi. I said, Stormi done really got to Marsau. She called him the B word. She refused to give him a hug. And now he is in his feelings, honey. In the next scene, we are with Stormi and her husband, and she's talking about how she was sick with strep throat that could have turned into toxic shock syndrome. Courtney wants Stormi to slow down. Stormi agrees, of course. She knows she needs to tone it down a little bit. She says that Keke was the first person to reach out when she found out that she was sick. That was really sweet, Keke. She and Courtney discuss Canva Beauty and the whole Tisha copying and pasting Stormi's return policy. Stormi says Tisha tried to call her, but she just didn't want to speak at that time. Stormi says that she feels embarrassed for Tisha. Apparently, Stormi had made her website herself. And obviously, as a business owner, you should be involved in every aspect of your business, especially when you're first starting out. So because Stormi obviously wasn't where she's at today, she did everything from the ground up. And, you know, she's embarrassed for Tisha because, girl, why didn't you look over your stuff and make sure that it was accurate? And if you're going to take somebody else's stuff, surely remove their name. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just common sense. At the end of the day, Stormi just wants to discuss everything with Tisha and, you know, try to figure out how everything happened. When they discuss the barbecue, Courtney's like he's not going to be attending because he feels like things could get really real between him and Marsau, and for the sake of his wife, he's going to sit this one out. And I mean, I agree with him. If that's how he feels, like it could escalate to a situation that he doesn't want it to escalate to, yeah, sit it out. Because Marsau has a way to bring you to that point. Stormi's kind of like down about it, but she understands. She don't want her man going to jail over no foolishness. So we are at Tisha and Marsau's, I guess they're a location for one of their businesses or a project that they're doing. And Tisha is discussing Scott Realty. They're going to have a couple of storefronts, one of which will be Tisha's office, I'm assuming. They also discuss Maurice's barbecue. Again, Marsau says that he doesn't really want to mess around with Stormi and her husband. He doesn't have a problem with him, but doesn't want anything to do with them at this point in time. They talk about their Bet on Black event, and apparently somebody had called, I guess, the county and said that there was going to be some illegal gambling taking place. So they decided to go ahead and postpone this event. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I could understand you needing to postpone the event to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. It's kind of messed up if somebody called, if this is really true, that somebody called and tried to shut this down, especially because the things that they were trying to do would have been beneficial to people in their community as they're sharing with one another. Tisha brings up the website and how it had something to do with Canva, and they're so nonchalant about this. I mean, y'all are busted, specifically Tisha, obviously you are busted red-handed, literally copying something from Stormi's site and putting it on your site. Of all the hair care lines that you could have taken from, you somehow decided to take from Stormi. And it's nothing, like I said earlier, it's nothing wrong with it. It's like, just be smart enough to take her company's name off of what you're doing. I don't know what happened. I feel like Tisha played it off, trying to say that it was the web designer who did it. It was, you know, I paid him all this money to put this website up and this is what happened. Even if that's true, you know, still it looks bad when you guys are clearly looking at their business model and trying to make it your own. That's why I thought, like last week's episode when Tisha was like, oh, it's taken me like 4 or 5 years to get this hair care line off the ground. I thought it was interesting that she would give us a timeline as to how long it took for her to develop the hair care line. And now we see she's copying Stormi's stuff. The conspiracy theorist in me is just wondering, you said all of that to cover your behind if somebody were to ask, are you trying to be like Stormi in the hair care industry? I'm just saying. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. So she's crying and boo-hooing because people are coming after her. People are coming after her marriage. And I'm assuming that part is mainly about these new allegations that Kiki shared with Mel. And I'm just like, girl, get yourself together. Get it together. I understand that it's a lot, but don't let these people see you sweat, okay? I feel like this was a moment, honestly, for Marsau to embrace his wife. They seem, and I'm not trying to analyze their marriage, but I am here to give my opinion. They seem so distant. Like he's on one side of the little area that they're at and she's on the other having this conversation. And there's not one moment where he inches closer to embrace his wife and, let her know it's going to be okay. This is a part of being a business owner and building your business. Like we like to say in our community, you must be doing something right if people are coming after you. He said none of that to her. And I felt bad for her. I really did. I felt like he should have encouraged her or given her a little bit more than just that smack on the butt as that scene ends. So it's now the day of the cookout. Stormi is the first person to arrive. Of course, Courtney is not going. He already told us that. When she sees Maurice and Kimmi, they are getting on Stormi's last nerve. And she's just like, you know what? I'm not going to talk about my husband when he's not here. And that shut that whole conversation down. I was like, I know that's right, girl. Mel comes. She's wearing a t-shirt that says, I'm on what you're on. Like, if you want to try me, I'm going to try you type of stuff. I thought that was funny that she had that on. Tisha and Marsau arrive as well, followed by Martell. Aside from last week's episode, Martell ain't doing much this season, is he? When he comes, Mel totally ignores him. Nell is there as well with her husband Fletcher, and she says in her confessional that she can understand and relate to Melody giving Martell the cold shoulder because when she and her husband separated, she did not want to speak to him either. That was Nell's contribution to this episode. Keke is the last to arrive with her husband. When Stormi sees Keke come in, she asks Tisha, are you good with everyone? And Tisha's like, yeah, we good with everyone. But she had this look on her face that obviously says something completely different. Tisha says in her confessional that she made it crystal clear to Keke that she wanted her to keep her marriage out of her mouth. And they show the flashback. And Keke made it clear to Tisha that she was not going to be mentioning anything else about her marriage and that this would not be a topic of conversation again. So I see why Tisha's upset, but I would just let her know, girl, you still at it. And because you're still at it, we need to pump the brakes on this relationship. When we're around each other, we can say, hey, how you doing? And just keep it moving. I don't need to give you anything more, and you don't need to give me anything more. That's how I would have handled the situation if I were Tisha. But instead, when Keke and her husband walk in, Tisha says hello to him. She gives him a hug. And here we go with Keke. Kiki's trying to come up and give Tisha a hug, and Tisha is not feeling it. She walks away from the table. That's the energy that she was giving Keke. Again, I just feel like if you would have just told her, girl, I have nothing to give to you, and just left it at that, that would have been probably fine. But that doesn't happen. There's a seat open at the same table that Tisha is at with Stormi and Marsau. So Keke takes a seat and she wants to share with Stormi what's going on between her and Tisha. And I'm like, no, this is not the time nor the place. I gotta question these motives. Like, I'm not a fan of Tisha and Marsau like that, but I feel like Keke was 100% wrong. So as she's trying to share what's going on, basically trying to tell Stormi the rumor about Marsau sleeping with this other woman, Tisha's over here being childish. She's not being any better, yelling across the yard for Maurice to get her some water, for Maurice to give her some new cards, as if she can't get her butt up and walk in the house and go get it herself. That was sending me. I'm just like, girl, you can go get it yourself. What are you doing? Again, the situation could have de-escalated if she would have just went somewhere else meeting Tisha. Should she have gone somewhere else? No. Should Keke have sat up there and tried to start more drama? No. But obviously, Keke's in her feelings at this point in time. Somebody has to make a decision. Because Keke feels like she's not able to tell the story, being that Tisha is being loud and calling Maurice, she decides to flick a drink in Tisha's face. Tisha is sitting there soaked. soaked. Her face is soaked. She has on a white shirt. The whole front of the white shirt is soaked. She is pissed. Tisha should have got across that table and went to town on Kiki. There is no way. I remember when I was in middle school, the same type of situation happened to me. I mean, I came across that table so quick. That girl did not know what to do with herself. And I don't say that to condone violence. I'm just saying your natural reaction is to respond back to the person, not to just sit there in embarrassment. So they get up from the table. Kiki's already up. And Marsau is yelling to Maurice and Kimmi, y'all need to get her out, get her drug tested. This, that, and the third. Once he talked about her getting drug tested, that's when he activated Kiki's husband. He's coming towards Marsau, and Marsau is basically backpedaling. And that was the end of the episode. You guys let me know what y'all thought about this week's episode. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. I feel like there's no repairing at this point Tisha and Kiki's relationship. And I'm team Tisha on this. I already done told y'all that happened to me and I reacted. I'm not going to sit there and let somebody throw a drink in my face and think that's okay. Y'all let me know what y'all thought, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.